This podcast may contain explicit language. Hasta la vista, baby. Terminator 2: Judgment Day is next. Welcome to the Greatest Movie of All Time podcast, the show that uses a unique grading style to redefine what the greatest movies are. I'm Tom Duncan.
And I'm Dana Duncan.
Tonight, for our 318th episode, we discuss Terminator 2: Judgment Day from 1991, celebrating its 35th anniversary. Written and directed by James Cameron with William Wisher, cinematography by Adam Greenberg, music by Brad Feidel, editing by Conrad Buff, Mark Goldblatt, and Richard A. Harris, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator, Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor, Edward Furlong as John Connor, Robert Patrick as the T-1000, Earl Bone, I believe it is, as Dr. Peter Silberman, and Joe Morton as Miles Bennett Dyson. Background for the movie: T2 was released on July 3rd, 1991. On a budget between $94 and $102 million, Terminator 2: Judgment Day is estimated to have grossed a worldwide total of between $519 and $520.9 million, making it the year's highest grossing film and the third highest grossing film ever at the time, behind 1977's Star Wars, which had grossed $530 million, and 1982's E.T. the Extraterrestrial, that had grossed $619 million. It remained in the top 5 highest grossing films for 12 consecutive weeks and the top 10 highest grossing films for 15 weeks. This also made it the 13th highest grossing film of its time, behind Back to the Future and the highest grossing R-rated film at the time. Critics were generally positive with some caveats, but specifically highlighted the relationship between John Connor and the Terminator and the special effects as worthy of unique praise. T2 was nominated for 6 Oscars, including cinematography and film editing, while winning for makeup, sound effects editing, and visual effects. Terminator 2 is considered a highly influential film, setting a benchmark for sequels, action set pieces, and visual effects. Cameron and special effects supervisor Dennis Muren said the groundbreaking special effects in Terminator 2 demonstrated the possibilities of computer-generated effects, and that without it, effects-focused films such as Jurassic Park from 1993 would not have been possible. A 2014 Entertainment Weekly article said Terminator 2 contributed to the contemporary Hollywood high-budget science fiction epic film and a reliance on turning films into franchises targeted at young audiences and broad demographics. Den of Geek described it as one of the most influential blockbusters since the thriller Jaws in 1975. Alongside her appearance in The Terminator, Hamilton's Sarah Connor became regarded as one of the greatest and most influential cinematic female action heroes and an iconic character. Patrick's T-1000 is considered one of the most iconic cinematic villains. Although Cameron intended for Terminator 2 to be the end of the franchise, it was followed by several additional films. Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines in 2003, Terminator Salvation in 2009, Terminator Genesis in 2015, and Terminator Dark Fate from 2019, as well as the television series Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles that was from 2008 to 2009. The AFI has recognized the film on the following lists: AFI's 100 Years, 100 Thrills at number 77 in 2001. It was on AFI's 100 Years, 100 Best Heroes and Villains, with the T-800 as the number 48 hero of all time in 2003. In 2005, for 100 Years, 100 Best Movie Quotes, Hasta la Vista, Baby was number 76. And for AFI's 10 Top 10, it was the number 8 science fiction film. Popular Mechanics and Rolling Stone jointly listed it alongside The Terminator as the third best time travel film ever made. Rolling Stone's reader-voted list of the best sequels ranks Terminator 2 second, behind The Godfather Part 2 from 1974, and Empire readers ranked the film 17th on its 2017 100 Greatest Movies list. In 2023, T2 was selected for preservation by the National Film Registry. It currently holds a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 75 score on Metacritic, and a 4.3 out of 5 on Letterboxd. But of course, we can't do this by ourselves, so we bring in our celebrity guest for the evening, the host and creator of Shea Cinema, a co-host of First Watch, Rewatch, a 5-time club member and CLP contributor making her 9th appearance on the show to date. It's the sassy lass from Las Vegas. Please welcome back Sara Shea.
Oh, there's cheering in there now. We've upgraded on the sounds. That's great.
I had to get a newest sound effect because I lost the old one.
Oh, well, there you go. Thank you so much for having me back, gentlemen. I can't believe this is already number 9. Goodness gracious. We planned this one out a long time ago, too. So
that is true.
Yes, I've been eagerly anticipating this.
The next one will be the t-shirt one.
Yes.
Yes. Perfect.
But we'll address that at the end of the episode.
Okay. Sounds good. This one, you know why I'm really excited about this one, because it didn't come out in the 30s and it didn't come out in the 70s. It actually came out when I was alive and I saw it when it was a big deal. So I'm very excited.
And the last time that you were on was also when I had hair upstairs.
That's true. I mean, I've seen you since then.
You had to designate that it was upstairs? I mean...
Well, given that there is hair on my face yet, yes.
Oh, okay. Because
there's hair other places, but I was
going to go, I think there's too much information about, yeah.
Somebody likes to comment on my hair quite often during this program. I'm just getting the first salvo out for the evening.
And who's that?
Mr. Thinning himself.
Yeah, okay. Sure.
I got the pictures.
That's fine. Whatever.
People couldn't tell from the front from me either.
I think you look great, both of you. So let's move on, shall we?
Oh, yes.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. So, as we start every week, what are the relationships to everybody with this film? Dad, let's start with you, since you were so exceptionally eager to discuss Terminator again after our first episode on the original Terminator.
I've seen only bits and pieces of it. I've never seen the entire thing before until now. I saw the ending. That I remembered. And thought there were a lot of plot holes in it. But okay.
I think we'll address those later on. Just maybe. Now, Sarah, you said that you saw this in theaters?
I did not see it in theaters because it was rated R, but I saw it immediately when it was on home video, like that.
Like that?
Like that. It was, so I remember it being like the most anticipated movie at the time. In fact, if you look at the films that were also released at that time, there's good films that are out, but this is the only one that I remember and care about, honestly. So it was such a huge deal, and we rented it immediately, and I remember just being so terrified of even seeing the trailers or commercials for it or anything like that. It was truly like one of the scariest movies that I have ever seen, but it was so incredibly thrilling, and the special effects at the time were groundbreaking. We lost our mind seeing the T-1000 and the liquid metal. That fundamentally changed Hollywood. It actually put my uncle out of a job because he worked in practical effects, and that little company that he was with was like, yeah, we're gonna do something else. It permeated everything in culture at that time was focused on this movie, on Arnold, on Sarah Hamilton and her character being Lyndon Hamilton as Sarah being completely transformed as a female recited lines over and over and over and over again. That's what memes were back in my day. We still had memes. They were just people quoting things and referring to things on TV and things like that. So it's one of my favorite movies of all time. I actually think it might be a perfect film. Yeah, I love it. I guess I'm on that island by myself, and that is just fine.
So we have the defender, we have the critic, and we have Switzerland on this episode.
I will say that the definition of getting old is when you go, 1991 wasn't that long ago, and then realize it's 35 years.
Yeah, that's terrible for me to realize as well.
Yeah.
I would have been a year old.
I know.
Shut up.
I couldn't have afforded to go to the theater. We were dirt poor, and somebody was eating us out of a house and home by that point in time.
Yes, he was. This is only the second time I've seen this film. I saw it to be somewhat of a completionist after I saw the original Terminator. I basically watched them back to back because it was something in my pop culture lexicon that I felt I needed to complete or have the coming together on. I think this might have been a pandemic watch for me, if I remember right. There were several major holes that I filled in during the pandemic. Princess Bride, Dumb and Dumber. I think these movies were on that as well. I might be wrong. I didn't go back and listen to our original Terminator episode, for which we've drawn a lot of criticism, particularly from one Kieran B, for being too harsh on that film.
I'm just saying, if you've
Love
seen
you,
it
Kieran,
like on the big screen, like I got to last year, that movie is chef's kiss. It's also very noisy. Very noisy. Loved it.
The original Terminator, I'm sorry, has not aged particularly well.
Yeah, it has, because I just literally watched it on the big screen last year and loved it. If you don't like it already, you're probably not gonna like it.
I have
But
nothing
it's
particularly against
totally
it. I
awesome.
don't like nor dislike it per se. I don't think it has aged well. The special effects in it look awful. Awful. That was my criticism.
Suspension of disbelief. They're time fucking traveling. How good is it supposed to look? It's not a documentary.
They didn't have the budget.
I was trying to have a thought of what is time fucking traveling. I mean, would that be like porn in slow motion?
Or sped up, who knows? I just walked right into that one.
Porn at 1.5 speed. Everybody's done coke, so you're just animating a little faster.
Oh my god.
Okay, so Shampoo is alive and well. Anyway, moving on.
Oh, here's the other thing to say about this film. The soundtrack, Brad Fiedel played that on cassette tape over and over again, so much so that I can hear music and know exactly what is happening in the film. Like, everybody was listening to it. It was like to have 12-year-olds listening to essentially what sounds like just industrial sounds was kind of wild at the time. So, sorry, just have to get it out. I love it. You guys are wrong. Your audience is all going to agree with me.
I haven't said anything other than I hadn't seen the film.
So on that note, you are a known person famous for their difficulty with science fiction. Was this any better for you than the original?
Yeah, it was okay. It was fun. I mean, it was well done. It's just not something that I'm going to go, oh boy, I'm going to go back and watch every 6 months. It's just, okay. It was fine.
Okay.
I mean, I can accept it for the quality it was done in the special effects and the story and all the rest of that, but I don't have to say that I necessarily like it. There's a lot of art that I recognize the talent and such, but I just don't see the beauty.
I will have to admit, I have not yet seen every James Cameron film. I have not seen Piranha. I have not seen True Romance. I have seen Titanic. I have seen 2 Avatars. I have not seen the latest one, Fire and Ass.
True Lies
I thought it was True Romance.
with Jamie Lee Curtis. It's True Lies.
Okay, maybe I made a mistake. It doesn't really matter. My point is this James Cameron's best film?
Yep, hands down.
I think so as well. Avatar looks better, but I don't think it has the substance. I think there are people that would be in the camp of Titanic, but I disagree because it's the only Leo movie I can't stand.
It's a part of why I can't stand Leo, like, at all. I think you guys know, I think I said this, or I've said this on a podcast before, if I haven't said it directly to you, Tom, but my brother and I would go to that movie multiple times to throw popcorn at the girls who were just sitting there sobbing over Leonardo DiCaprio. And we were like, this is so dumb. Why are you paying money to come to a theater to cry over this guy who's dumb and dying? So annoying. Anyway, that's a whole other issue.
Because he's from Wisconsin.
Who? Cameron or
No.
DiCaprio?
DiCaprio's character in the movie is from Wisconsin.
Yes.
He's 100. Everything about just no.
Jack Dawson is from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yes. Unfortunately, they made a reference to a lake in Wisconsin that didn't exist at the time of the Titanic.
Well, anyway, this is Cameron's best film. A lot of people love Aliens, which is people saying like that's the best like action sequel, and I understand, but I prefer the original. Although Aliens is excellent, love it. This one is fundamentally, I think, maybe one of the best sequels probably ever made, if not the best, because you can watch it by itself and you don't need to see anything else. And the effect that it had culturally, yes, Titanic did, but not to the same extent, because Titanic's like 8 hours long. You can't consume it quickly. You can't sell it to 12-year-old boys. You can't sell it to 16-year-old girls. Like, that's why that movie made so much, because everyone's crying over Leonardo DiCaprio. But this one, like, is a cultural touchstone.
You can sell it to 12-year-old boys. All you have to do is tell them about the drawing scene.
No, they will rent it, and then they'll fast forward, and they'll get rid of it. They're not going to go to the theater.
Okay.
She's not wrong.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know.
Okay.
That being said, I completely disagree that you don't need to watch the original Terminator to understand this movie.
You do not.
You 100% do. The Linda Hamilton character makes zero sense without it.
They explain everything in Terminator 2, and you don't need to have seen the original. Trust me.
And the impact of Arnold being the good guy as opposed to the bad guy makes no sense unless you've seen the original, which is literally the biggest plot point.
I understand what you're saying, but me as a kid watching this movie, having not seen the original, loved it, was obsessed with it. There was enough going on in this film to explain it that I didn't need to. It was not like imperative. You could still watch it and enjoy it. There's enough information there. There's enough information about Sarah Connor and that she's crazy. That's all you need to know, is that she's crazy and she's in a mental hospital. You don't need to know that she basically didn't do anything in the first movie and that she had sex with Kyle Reese. That's all she does in the first movie. Okay?
She runs and she has sex.
Yep. That's it.
Oh, there are so many jokes that I could make there.
Well, let's not say we did, Dad.
Okay.
Is this the best Arnold movie?
No.
Again, I would say yes.
Say yes. There are some that I think are more fun. I really love like Kindergarten Cop or like Twins, where he's playing kind of more silly characters. But this is, you can't separate this character from him. Like, this is him, right?
I like True Lies. I like Kindergarten Cop. I think Arnold is better in both. Are we talking about Arnold in a movie, or are we talking about the movie that Arnold's in? Because if we're talking about Arnold in a movie, both of those vehicles are much more about Arnold and his talents than this.
I like Kindergarten Cop. I like Jingle All the Way, but this is his best movie. This is his best performance. Yes, it's more physical. Yes, there are fewer lines, but he is the iconic and emphasis of everything that his character and everything he as an actor had been leading up to. This is going to be his most iconic role, and it's his best role. Hands down for me. He's a badass in this movie.
Sure, but he's a badass. Well, I guess let's think about this. He is a badass in these other movies, but part of the reason that we think he's a badass in these other movies is because of this movie, actually. I do have to say, like, if we're talking about, like, as Dana said, is it him as the actor putting on a performance, or is it the movie? I agree that if we separated it out, like, if we only get to choose one, we choose this one. But if we get to separate it out, I would agree that I enjoy him as an actor and a presence in other movies, particularly Kindergarten Cop and Twins.
I think, yes, Dad, he is given more to do in those films, but I don't think that there is a better peak for what Arnold represents as a star or as an actor than this movie. Him on the back of a motorcycle with sunglasses and a leather jacket and boots, trying to do the repeater action with the shotgun.
But that's also a testament to the film and not necessarily Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Like, that's film legacy more than it's him.
Could have put Jean-Claude Van Damme in glasses and a
no
thing,
or
and
Sly.
it would have been fine, because it was more about the image than it was about anything
Seagal.
he did.
True.
Yeah.
No, you can't put any of those guys in this and it makes the same.
You actually could, because they were all considered to, at the time, they were all considered to be basically, Jean-Claude's too small, by the way. You could do Dolph Lundgren, and they were, adversaries in Universal Soldier. That's a movie I love. Lou Ferrigno you could do, because you need beefcake up there.
Yep.
And you need to have somebody who looks cool. The part that makes Arnold interesting is because of his accent, which he was never able to get rid of. And it's so funny because he sounds like my great uncle Wolfgang and my Oma. Like, they also never got rid of their Austrian accents. But in terms of the look, that has nothing to do with Arnold other than his size. So it could have been Steven Seagal, it could have been Sly Stallone, it could have been Lou Ferrigno, it could have been any of these other guys. So that has nothing to do with Arnold, just that he happens to be in the movie, which good for him. I'm glad he's in the movie. I love this movie, but
I just disagree. I don't think you can replace him.
But we're only saying that because it's so iconic. I'm saying that look has nothing to do with him, though. You have to admit that the look, literally any giant body with the sunglasses, because that takes away so much of the facial features, and like all you see is the body type. It has nothing to do with him.
I disagree. I will not stipulate.
You're wrong. It's okay to be wrong.
People's ears are bleeding, and somehow I'm the defender here.
Yeah, well.
I love this movie. I'm the only one who loves this movie, but I'm telling you, that shot could have been anyone. I don't necessarily think the movie could have been as good, but the way he looks has nothing to do with him.
Blasphemy.
Come for me in the comments, y'all. I welcome it.
Okay. Dad, do you have a plot summary ready for us?
I do. In Terminator 2 Judgment Day, a killer machine from the future is reprogrammed to protect the very boy he was once sent to destroy. Arnold Schwarzenegger returns as the T-800, but this time he's the good guy, and he's up against something far more terrifying, the T-1000, a shape-shifting liquid metal assassin who can become anyone or anything. Young John Connor, the future leader of humanity, is the target, and his only hope is the machine that that once hunted his mother.
Thank you. So what is this film about?
Do you want the broader view? Man's potential self-destruction?
Okay. I guess I could see that.
I mean, it's in the film. That's the last line. Or one of the last lines.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I think anytime we get to man making a machine that will make him obsolete, you're dealing with replacement theory and all sorts of other things. And that's often the story of whether it's AI or it's computers or whatever else. We've run this story a bunch of times over the last 40 years. There's nothing to disagree with there.
I think it's that destruction idea for sure, and then also like, how do you define humanity? What is it? What makes us human? Because is it just a mimicking of human behaviors? Like, very explicitly, Arnold's character says, like, I can learn to mimic stuff, and John's specifically trying to teach him things, and at the end he's like, I can't, now I know why you cry, but I can't do it, right? So he understands, like, philosophically, intellectually, the need for tears, but is unable to do it. But if he understands it and would be like, I know why you would cry, and I could do it right now, maybe if I had tear ducts, would that make him more human, right? And so the self-awareness there is, I mean, metacognition is one of the things that we define as, like, creates consciousness, right? If you can think about your own thinking, then...
Well, I think I would go further than that to push back on you. It's not just a logical aspect, it's empathy.
Sure, absolutely. Sure.
Think about it this way, okay? You can have all the parts, but that doesn't make you human. I mean, a line that Sarah Connor is giving about how this Terminator is the best father because all these other guys were morons and were abusive and nasty and etc. Well, yeah, they were human. They just didn't have the ability to empathize, to love, to show respect. They were human men, apparently pieces of shit. But,
well,
you know,
some of that was her doing too by basically dating a bunch of rebel guerrillas.
True. She did not put on a good example for him. I think so. Here's part of it, because I'm thinking about, okay, so literally philosophy, Descartes, right? I think, therefore I am, right? Literally, you could be a brain in a vat having thoughts, and therefore you are a person. This is kind of like the foundation of the Matrix, right? So if we're a brain in a Terminator, isn't empathy just a series of thoughts anyway, right? That's still thinking. So consciousness or self-aware, I mean, the whole thing in this movie that everybody says all the time, Skynet becomes self-aware, right? And so, I don't know, is Arnold a human being, or is he just a Terminator? I mean, yeah.
I think the conclusion that the movie would reach is that you can be a machine, but you can learn human behaviors, and so thus, because it's been made by humans, it has the ability to reach beyond itself to express that level of empathy. I think that's the direct conclusion it's trying to draw for you. And so thus there's hope that we have not fully destroyed ourselves.
Okay.
Whereas I think most of the other takes is usually, well, there's no hope for mankind because we're all stupid and selfish and we're just out to destroy ourselves.
Right. Well, that's what John says to the Terminator, right? We don't have a chance, right? The Terminator's like, yeah, it's in your nature to destroy yourselves.
Yeah.
How does, maybe I should wait for further questions. I'm going to add that to further questions. Never mind.
You mean remaining questions?
Remaining questions.
Says the 9-time guest and 5-time club member.
You know what it's like inside my brain, Tom. This should not
Unfortunately, I do. I very much do.
Why do you keep wanting to hang out with me? I still don't get it.
You want me to do it less? Did you know? Robert Patrick undertook a rigorous running regime and practiced breathing only through his nose in order to appear to be a cyborg that could run at high speeds without showing fatigue. He had trained so hard that he was able to catch up to Edward Furlong on his dirt bike with ease. Did you know? Production took sufficiently long that Edward Furlong's growth caused the production team to have to make certain adjustments during the shoot. He is noticeably younger in the desert scene than in other scenes. His voice began to break and had to be pitch adjusted in post-production. He also had grown quite tall over the months that, for one scene shot late in the production schedule, he had to stand in a hole in the ground in order to maintain continuity and height difference with Linda Hamilton. Always a difficulty with shooting teenagers about to go through puberty. Did you know? There was concern as to how realistic CGI would look when it came to the helicopter going under the bridge. So the pilot just did it for real. A camera car would be driving the Steadicam operator close to the helicopter to capture close-up shots, but the camera crew refused to film it because of the high risk involved. Director James Cameron filmed the shot himself twice. Once with the camera car driving behind the helicopter, and once in front of it. I mean, it's an example of leadership, never to ask somebody to do something you're not willing to do yourself. Did you know? For the Los Angeles River sequence, Arnold Schwarzenegger was in pain because he could not wear a glove while cocking the gun, so his fingers would get stuck in the mechanism. He tore the skin from his fingers and hand many times before he mastered it, and he frequently hit Edward Furlong with the gun while doing it, one time almost knocking the young actor out. He had to achieve all this while trying to act and control a Harley at the same time as James Cameron told him where to look. He could not dart his eyes either because it would have ruined the shot. Shooting the gates also took weeks of practice because he also had to look cool while doing it.
Wow.
Did you know? Industrial Light and Magic's computer graphics department had to grow from 6 artists to almost 36 to accommodate all the work required to bring the T-1000 to life, costing, in US dollars, $5.5 million and taking 8 months to produce, which ultimately amounted to 3.5 minutes of actual screen time. And finally, did you know? Edward Furlong immediately got along with Arnold Schwarzenegger, as the young actor had grown up without a father figure, and Schwarzenegger could fill that role both in front of and behind the camera. Linda Hamilton joked that she experienced excruciating moments when she was forced to listen as Arnold Schwarzenegger gave Furlong advice about women, and stated that they did so well together because they were both, quote, emotionally the same age. And with that, we will take our first break, and we'll be right back. Before we jump back into the episode, next week for our 319th episode, we revisit Aliens from 1986, celebrating its 40th anniversary. Written and directed by James Cameron, cinematography by Adrian Biddle, music by James Homer, editing by Ray Lovejoy, starring Sigourney Weaver, Paul Reiser, and Michael Biehn. You won't want to miss that one, so watch ahead of the show by searching the Real Good app to find where it's streaming for you. That's REELGOOD. And before we move too much further into the show, let's check in with our guest. Sarah, what's going on with you? What are you working on, and where can people find you?
Well, currently people can find me on this new show that I'm doing called First Watch Rewatch with you, Tom. And so we've been doing that for, I don't know, a couple months right now. We're doing The Good Wife, covering the first season of The Good Wife. And it's a laugh riot because we don't have any structure. And we spend most of the beginning of every show laughing like hyenas. And also, I'm in charge of this season, which is pretty silly. So
I do laugh, but there's only one of us that's laughing like a hyena.
Well, you bring it out, I guess.
That's fair.
Probably the only time I've ever heard him, bringing out animalistic instincts.
So that's what I'm doing consistently. I do have a show with my dad, which has been on a hiatus for a long time, and I need to do editing. And yes, Tom, I am breezing through June because you were like, you're not going to release my episode till June, and now we're going to get further away, so it's not even going to be in June, so I am one-upping you on that one.
That is your form of protest?
Sure.
Is to make me not right by actually making it further out than I predicted?
Yes.
Okay.
Again, you want to hang out with me all the time, and that's
Not
my explanation.
all the time.
All the time. Dana, it's all the time. Yeah. So
At least once a week, yes.
So anyway, I have to get back on the bandwagon on that one. We literally need to finish out our third season. All of the episodes have been recorded. I need to do editing. We need to do our finale, and then we'll get into 1934, which is the 7th Academy Awards. So all of that is part of the planning. Yeah, I don't know. Things have been going on with my brain like this year that finally are explaining like 100% of my behavior. So sorry, Tom.
Can I ask you, Sarah,
Yeah.
over your right shoulder, for those people who are at home and are watching, is that a demonic strawberry or a duck?
It's her bitter berry.
Okay, this is a boysenberry, and its mouth is actually right here. So it's smiling. It's not unhappy, although Tom also thinks it's unhappy.
I've seen stuff like that in some dreams I've had after eating at Taco Bell too late at night.
I mean, I've got a pie, an American pie, squishy, and because it was my birthday a couple weeks ago, it's a shark that says, "You're jawsome," because it's my favorite movie. My daughter loves me, and other things that she made for me. Okay. Oh, this is my K-pop.
Again, this is
Skazoo.
really great podcasting in an audio form, showing all of the visual material.
I'm just sitting there looking at this thing and going, ugh, what the hell is that?
Dana asked, and you can just cut this part out. But yeah, this is not its frown. It's got a little smiley right here.
Okay.
Boysenberry.
Bitterberry.
We hang out enough that you've named the things in my background, Tom.
Just that one thing.
But it's enough.
Okay, if you say so. Moving on. We left off at best performance. Dad, who do you have down?
James Cameron.
Yeah. This, again, feels a little bit like a default award where you write the thing, you direct the thing, you visualize all of the special effects. Of course, you're going to get best performance. Like, who else are you really going to go with?
I think this is where I jump in and say, you give it to Linda Hamilton, because this role is iconic and insane and crazy and what everybody was talking about at the time, and every woman on the planet at that time wanted to be her because she was such a badass, even though she was crazy. Like, she is chewing up the scenery, and for me, the movie doesn't work if she's not playing this unhinged version of this character. I think that she's the best performance in the movie.
I think she is utterly unhinged in a bad way. I think she's grossly overacting, and
I love it.
Hated every moment she was on screen.
Probably just because maybe you hate women, because she's
amazing. That's
amazing.
Exactly it. Which is
I
why
had to say it.
Yes, I voluntarily hang out with you because you're not a woman.
Right. I think she becomes, in a way, in this role, Linda Hamilton does. I mean, she's married to Cameron at the time, but she, in this way, becomes like a more accessible version of Ellen Ripley. Because Ellen Ripley, as a lead female character, is astounding and amazing. But she's up in outer space fighting xenomorphs, and we love it, but it doesn't necessarily directly translate. And so then you have Sarah Hamilton while still dealing with the sci-fi stuff.
You did it again. Linda Hamilton.
Linda Hamilton. I'm so sorry. It's also my name, and I know this movie very well. So
You're just blending Sarah Connor and Linda Hamilton.
I know I am, and it's my name, and that's why it's hard for me.
It is your name because that Sarah Connor has an H in it.
Thomas. I know that you like correcting me, but
yes,
okay.
Yes, I do.
He likes correcting everybody.
I know.
That is true. I love to be right. And on that note, they were married the year after, not during the filming. Anything else?
Do you think that they weren't like boning when this was being made, that they weren't in a relationship? They were together.
Okay.
Same way he was boning people when he was making the okay. So anyway, my point being, she's more accessible as this character, even though she's dealing with robots and time travel and all of that type of stuff. That sort of feral stuff that people liked about Ellen Ripley, particularly in Aliens, right? Her being protective over Newt. It's basically the same character, and this movie does not work if you do not have that character and if you do not have Linda Hamilton doing it. And I'm so sorry that she annoys you, but she's fantastic in this movie.
So take everything that you said about her being more accessible and reverse that for my opinion, because I find Ellen Ripley to be more accessible, more human, more empathetic, more caring, more actually motherly than the woman who actually has a living child. She does next to nothing to support or help her child other than running around like a raving lunatic through the entire freaking movie. So,
yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Linda Hamilton is not going to get nominated for anything for me tonight.
Okay. You're wrong. But
Tell us how you really feel.
I like when we get under his skin and he gets cranky, prickly. Yeah.
So the best performance is clearly James Cameron. Best secondary performance, whether you guys like it or not, and the most charismatic is Arnold. Period. End of story. Cherry on top.
Dana,
Dennis
who's your
Muren.
best sick? Okay, who's that?
The stunt director or stunt
Oh,
coordinator.
yeah. Okay. For best secondary?
Best parts of the film.
Okay. I actually...
He also oversaw most of the computer work, kind of like was the quasi-director of it. But, yeah.
So my best secondary performance is actually going to Robert Patrick as the T-1000. Again, an iconic performance. I mean, the things that he physically did in order to pull off this role is he's lean and attractive. Everything about him, his demeanor when he's first talking about and asking his foster parents, like, where is John? And he's so nice. And then he turns into this utter psycho, cold stare. I think people would say that's not him giving a performance, that's him being a robot, but that's the whole point. And I think that if I read correctly, Billy Idol was originally cast as the T-1000.
Yeah.
And he was injured, so he actually couldn't film because they had this kind of idea, like this look that they kind of wanted. And I think going off of Billy Idol, that feels very like Rutger Hauer Blade Runner kind of style, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, Robert Patrick and that look that he has is... the fact that that's really him running is amazing. And he became so iconic in that role that later on when they make Wayne's World, he has a cameo appearance where they literally just show him on screen for 2 seconds and everybody's freaking out because, oh my God, that's all you need is just this one little shot of him. So best secondary performance, movie doesn't function without him either.
Robert Patrick is very good. I will concede that point. For me, it's still Arnold, but yes, he's an equal. And honestly, I can't argue with either of you, but my point was more of Arnold should be getting more due than he currently is on this program.
Well, here's the thing. I know that one of you was going to choose Arnold for something, so therefore I'm trying to come up with something else because I feel like it's a given that he is so good in this role. But I also think that this movie is so well cast and so well put together. You really can't go wrong with any choice.
I already set him for charismatic, so either of you up for whatever you want to do here.
I have Arnold for most charismatic.
There we go.
Okay, I can appreciate that. I'm for most charismatic. I'm actually going to give it to Brad Fiedel, the composer, because that movie is 100%. The music is telling you how to feel. It syncs really, really well with what is happening on screen. Again, I can hear notes happening in my head and picture exactly what is going on in the. It's fantastic.
I think they call that mental illness, but just...
I mean, it's me, so come on.
Moving to Best Scene, I have 5 nominees here. I have the opening biker bar sequence after both of the Terminators are put back on Earth. I just like that sequence because it's, again, Arnold being really badass. Then I have the Galleria, which goes all the way from basically the point at where we realize that Arnold is not the bad guy and that Robert Patrick is, up through the LA River chase. Then I have Pescadero, which is the shootout in the mental hospital. I have Cyberdyne, which is when they try and break into Skynet, essentially. And then the Steel Factory as the final epilogue. Did anyone have anything else to add?
Well, this is what I had been asking you earlier today, right? The Galleria scene, you included this big long section, which I feel like these 5 things are not scenes. These are like acts in the movie because there's so many smaller scenes, I feel. So, like, the biker bar, that's just the beginning of the film. Galleria is, like, the second part of the film. That's too long. For me, the Galleria stuff is interesting, but I would say the canal chase scene is a better scene than the 2 seconds where we think that Arnold is coming to kill him. Like, because by the time most people are watching this movie, they know that he's not. So I don't know, that part, that reveal is not important to me. Therefore, the Galleria stuff, not important. The canal chase that's essentially the scene that we know and recognize as a whole for the whole film.
Okay.
So I would separate that up.
So stipulated.
Yes, perfect.
Out of these, what is the best scene?
Cyberdyne. It's most action, most fun, most interesting.
I have the Steel Factory.
What part of the Steel Factory? Again, this is that's the last.
So you have three important moments in the Steel Factory.
Okay.
One is when he's frozen and he breaks apart, and you think that you have the upper hand, but you really don't. Then you have him yet again chasing up until the point where you get the dual Linda Hamiltons. Then you finally get the destruction of the T-1000, only to be capped off with the T-800 has to kill himself or be killed as well. And so then you get the emotional catharsis of that final moment where he has to lose this figure that he's now connected with. So that's why, to me, that's the best scene, is you have all of these various different things. Yet again, a horror villain that you can't kill, even with some of the most ridiculous methodology. You can't kill it, and then you do kill it, so you get that relief, and then you get the emotional gut punch to finish it off.
Right, but still not a scene, that's a section. So out of those, would you say, what part would you say? It's the emotional payoff at the end? That's the best scene because you have to watch the entire movie.
I made
to have
my claim.
that, but I'm explaining why that's
And I'm
like
staying with
seems
my
too
claim.
many things. Dana, what do you think the best scene is? What did you say?
He said Cyberdyne.
Cyberdyne, and because of the whole thing, because it's the most action-packed, right? Okay.
Yes. It's also my favorite scene.
I think I would have to say I like the frozen part in the steel factory. I love that part. That part was great and horrifying, and the special effects looked awesome, and yeah, you think you have the upper hand, but so I'm going to say that specific part of the movie is the best scene, that part. Or the canal chase.
So we have 2 for Steel Factory and 1 for Cyberdyne. Because someone else is still hosting the show.
That's true.
Moving to favorite scene. Dana already said his is Cyberdyne. Mine is the biker bar. I really like the entrance to this. I really like the fact that he just walks in. Again, this whole weird thing of them being naked at the beginning and then kind of the comedy of that. Especially after the first one, I think it plays well. And then they were trying to make jokes out of the whole thing. You didn't say please. I don't know. I like it.
My favorite scene is, I think, probably some of the stuff that's going on in the mental hospital with Sarah Connor. Her doing the escape, running silently down the hallway, the way the music is kind of like this quiet, like kind of thing. Her freaking out when she sees Arnold. We know that he's good. She doesn't know that slow motion thing where the elevators opening up. And then just the insanity of seeing everything that the T-1000 is doing in order to infiltrate, in order to get her. I feel like the tension is very, very high. That's my favorite scene.
As far as most indelible moment, I'm going to go for one particular 2-minute stretch where Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor realizes, I guess for the first time, that the T-800 is not going to kill her and that somebody else or something else is after her. And then more specifically, when the T-1000 morphs through the bars.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I like that. I think most indelible for me would be part of that canal chase, right? Arnold on the bike with John in the back with the shotgun, looking back at the Mack truck. That whole sequence, I think, is that defines the movie without using the liquid metal stuff. You're just relying on essentially practical effects more or less, and it's building the tension of the storyline.
For me, it's the Steel Factory. And the reason is, when I've seen bits and clips, the one part I remembered was that scene. So therefore, that must be the most indelible to me.
Okay. Any particular part that you recall, or?
I just remembered the whole thing. And then I go, oh yeah, those are the plot points that I thought were stupid.
Well, that looks like a good spot for our second break. We'll be right back. Before we jump back into the episode, and before we get to the Stanley Rubric in a minute, if you're ever curious about our Master Greatest Movies of All Time list that is every graded movie we've ever discussed on the show, there's a link in the episode description of every episode of this show, or you can go to RonnieDuckettStudios.com and find it as the top entry on the Greatest Movie of All Time podcast show page. That has the grades we've done so far for all 287 movies we've graded, and we continue to add more each week. Make sure to check that out as we go and follow along. Dad, do we have anyone to remember this week?
Yes. Tom Dreesen, 86, American comedian and actor. Man on the Moon, Trouble with the Curve, Spaceballs. Walter Parazater, 81, American Hall of Fame woodwind musician from the group Chicago. Paul Avery, 81, American actor, Superman, All My Children. DeVay Chase, 35, American actress, Lilo and Stitch, The Ring, and Donnie Darko. James Burrows, 85, American television producer and director, Cheers, Will and Grace, and Taxi.
It is hard to understate the impact with which James Burrows, or by most people's accounts that knew him well, Jimmy Burrows, had on television from about, 1975 until basically the early 90s.
Yeah, earlier than that because he got his start with TMT working on the Mary Tyler Moore Show. And then went off on his own, did his own production company and such, came up with Taxi first, and then Cheers and Will and Grace.
So at least 3 separate major shows developed over multiple different decades that were long running, were on forever, that created a lot of comedy and heart and warmth. I don't know. I think his impact is quite profound and stretches a very long landscape in the history of television, or at least American television.
He's kind of the king of the ensemble cast. And for those of you who do not know who Tom Dreesen is, Tom Dreesen was a longtime comedian. His big claim to fame was he spent most of his career as the opening act for Frank Sinatra. He and Frank were close friends, and he did some acting. He also teamed up with, if anybody remembers, the original TV show WKRP in Cincinnati. Venus Flytrap was played by Tim Reed. Tim Reed and Tom Dreesen were a comedy duo in the 60s, the first black and white comedy duo. And obviously were not booked a lot in the Deep South at that time.
And so we remember these here fondly for their contributions with a moment of silence in their honor. Thank you. All right, let's move to best lines. I will start with the one I led the show off with. Hasta la vista, baby.
He'll live.
John Connor. No. You gotta listen to the way people talk. You don't say affirmative or some shit like that. You say no problemo. And if someone comes to you with an attitude, you say eat me. And if you want to shine them on, it's hasta la vista, baby. Hasta la vista, baby. Yeah, but later, dickwad. And if someone gets upset, you say chill out. Or you can do combinations. Chill out, dickwad. Great, see, you're getting it. No problemo.
The Terminator. I know now why you cry. Wipes a tear from John's face, but it's something that I can never do.
I think you deserve an award for your Arnold impersonation, Tom.
For worst effort, that's really pathetic because I'm really not trying that hard.
Okay. Sarah Connor. Watching John with the machine. It was suddenly so clear. The Terminator would never stop. It would never leave him, and it would never hurt him, never shout at him or get drunk and hit him or say it was too busy to spend time with him. It would always be there, and it would die to protect him of all the would-be fathers who came and went over the years. This thing, this machine, was the only one who measured up. In an insane world, it was the sanest choice.
Yeah, and she's a great mother.
She could have been one of my aunts.
The Terminator. I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
John.
The look on your face, Tom.
John Connor. Jesus, you were going to kill that guy. The Terminator. Of course, I'm a Terminator. Is that better for you? That more effort?
Yeah.
Do you have any
go.
more? Me?
No,
it's
Emma.
my turn. John Connor, the whole thing goes. The future's not set. There's no fate but what we make for ourselves.
The T-1000 has fallen into a vat of molten steel. John Connor. Is it dead? The Terminator. Terminated. I'm just excited I get to talk like Arnold.
The Terminator. Stay here. I'll be back.
I'm trying to decide whether you sound more like Hans or Franz.
Yeah, we're here to pump you up. Yeah.
I guess that nap before the show helped.
Well, Dad, let's start with your German tranny accent.
Oh, I am so burned. Oh, I need Silvadine. I am so burned.
What?
It's that white Silvadine.
Would
is
you
that
just
white
go?
Okay, I'm out. It was your
Thank
turn
you.
anyway.
I already went.
Sarah Connor. The unknown future rolls towards us. In fact, for the first time with a sense of hope. Because if a machine, a Terminator, can learn the value of human life, maybe we can, too.
Come with me if you want to live.
Never mind, we'll skip this one. Move on, it's your turn.
I'm out.
Oh, you're out?
I'm out.
I literally have like 10 more pages of quotes. We'll move on.
10 more pages? What did you do? Buy the script?
I love this movie.
But you couldn't even find your shirt.
I couldn't find my shirt.
And
I'm
so
gonna
you
find
had
it
to wear
tomorrow.
a Bastard Team's
Listen,
retro
I had
or
like
knockoff gear.
I had like a liter of blood drained from me today, so whatever. Let's
You're
move
in
on.
America. There is no such thing as leader. Unless it's liter cola. Let's move to the Stanley rubric. Legacy is up first. This is a measure of the legacy of the film, approximately 5 years after it came out to today. So roughly 1996 to today. What is the legacy of this film as shared between two equal yet separate groups, the industry and the audience, 5 and 5 points apiece for a total of 10. Dad, would you like to go first or second?
I'll go first. I think considering that Cameron ended up with a 12-film deal after this, the fact that it cemented Arnold as a major star in Hollywood and an international star, not to mention some of the other people's and careers took off, industry is a 5. For the public...
So can I ask a question to clarify between that point? The way that you're phrasing it, I have no pushback for that being the impact in the moment, but why is that part of the legacy? Because Arnold being the biggest star or the biggest action star in the world was kind of reserved to a period where it kind of faded by the time we hit 1996. Yes, he was still popular, but was he the biggest star in the world at that point? And is he still like this same recognizable, iconic character? Yes, to a degree, but to the level where it's at that complete 5, I don't know.
I'm at a 5. He was the biggest thing there was. Everybody talked about him. Everybody imitated him. You could say the lines from the movie within more than 5 years afterwards. You were just a child. I knew what was going on. Not to mention the fact that he parlayed this whole thing into being governor of California. He ended up marrying into the Kennedy
you constantly
family.
Dismissed every time we've discussed Taxi Driver, the political consequences outside the film are irrelevant.
Probably Demolition Man had more to do with Arnold becoming governor than this movie on its own, but this movie led into that discussion.
But I no, and that so I'm at a 5, and I'm not changing. And as far as the public goes, I think it's faded a bit. But the famous Office poll, I think about everybody saw the film. There was maybe 2 people who hadn't. But I can't go a perfect 5 because it hasn't had all the accolades that others have. It's not film registry. It's not all this stuff, which is surprising to me. So half a point down for that. So I'm at a 9.5.
We're not so different, you and I. I'm at a 4.5 and a 4.5. I know I'm parsing a bit here on the industry. I know that it has significant tail when it comes to special effects and CGI and what is possible, and we've given credit to other films as a result of that. Yet still think if you're going to say James Cameron is known for or got big because of one particular movie, I think the crowning achievement where he reaches his apex is on Titanic, even as much as I don't like that film. And while T2 is a seminal film, an iconic film, I think it's waned over time a little bit, even in the public consciousness. So I'm at a 9. I have a 4.5 and a 4.5.
I'm going to give it a 10 because here's the thing. I think that it's hard to explain how hot this movie burned when it first came out. So yes, things have diminished since then, but that means it's diminished to like an 11 instead of a 10, right? So like, or a 6 on each side rather than going
it diminished
below 5.
to an 11 instead of a 10. I'm glad that you teach English,
I
not
don't
math.
So it's up. We'll just say it started off with a 12 out of 10, and now it's down to a 10 out of 10 because it's gone down over the years. It's like that. It was that important at the time.
Did they drain the blood from your head?
It's a lot. So basically the legacy of this film, everybody is still chasing T2 success. Okay, this has nothing to do with James Cameron and which was his most successful movie for him personally. We're not talking about Titanic. We're talking about this movie in particular and its impact, okay, on film and history and audiences and the industry. 5 years on, the biggest movie. People quoting it constantly. Still to this day, people recognize the characters, they recognize the scenarios, the fact that even though they've made an entire franchise on this character, essentially, beyond this movie, because this movie was so successful, and they are still making sequels, prequels, different iterations of this story because people still care about it. However, people will go and watch those films and then say, but T2 was still better. Even though technology and special effects stuff far exceeded anything that was going on at the time. I will happily watch all of the other Terminator movies because I get to hang out with familiar characters and I get to hang out with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I love him and he feels like a grandpa, okay, by the time you get to the later ones. Yes, okay, and we like that because we are familiar with the character, but we're still always referring to this iteration of that character, not original Terminator because he was a bad guy, but T2, where he is the good guy and he becomes the hero. And that fundamentally changes it and is what creates this entire franchise that has been going on for 30 plus years, because this movie is that good. It was so good in the moment, and it continues to live on. And I think that this is one of these franchises and iconic things. Like, what are we going to do when Arnold actually dies? They've already introduced other characters and other Terminators to try to get it to live on, but everybody still comes back to this one as where it all germinated from. This movie's going to exist long after all of us are dead. So, 10.
So that's a 9.5 average between the three of us. Moving into impact and significance. I'm not even going to argue this one. I know that this is supposed to be the initial 5 years as divided between the industry and the audience. And yeah, I'll go through the song and dance, but it's a 10.
It is a 10. Agreed.
Ditto.
Yeah. Let's not argue that one. So it's 10 average between the three of us. Novelty. Novelty is a measurement of anything original about the film, as well as the execution on the originality of the film. 5 and 5 points apiece for a total of 10. Let's start with our guest.
The fact that it's a sequel is the only thing that makes me pause, saying that the novelty should be lower. However, I think that there is enough refreshing going on with the storyline to alter it, to change us, to keep us interested if we know the original story. and the ingenuity that goes along with creating this new villain in the T-1000 so that it fundamentally shifts our focus, and therefore the franchise remains with this idea of Arnold as the protector. To me, I think it still needs to be a 10, even though it's a sequel. It blows original Terminator out of the water in terms of tension building and storytelling, and it makes something completely brand new out of it. And again, people are just gonna try to copy this movie rather than the original. So yeah, I'm giving it a 10 for novelty. Also, the special effects were outrageous at the time.
So the sequel is nothing more than a retelling of the original, but basically just upping the stakes very slightly and doing it in a slightly more elevated style with a bigger budget, because the T-1000 just replaces the T-800 and the T-800 replaces Michael Biehn's character. So you're just kind of swapping some roles and you're doing a few things. It looks a lot cooler. I will give you that. The special effects give this a little bit more of an originality for me on this one, but I have a 3.5 for the originality because I think it's borrowing a lot. And I have a 4 on the execution. I'm sorry. Some of the writing in this is just, it's blasé. And I also give it significant point down in this for Linda Hamilton. So I'm at a 7.5.
Originality, I'm at a 3. You know what this is? It's Shane.
Okay, yeah.
Good point.
It's a Western. They just took and put machines in it instead of bad guys shooting guns at each other and riding horses. They're riding motorcycles.
Take that, Kieran.
And at execution, the plot holes I keep alluding to have bothered me. And I think that some of the lines were a little cheesy at times. And
you don't say.
Yeah. So I the best I could do on that is a 4.5. So I'm at a 7.5 overall.
So that is an 8.33 average between the three of us, where 2 of us were right and 1 of us was wrong. Classicness. This is a measure of how well the film has aged or not over the years. We start at a baseline of a 6 or a midpoint of a 6 as opposed to the normal 5, just because we thought, at least in theory, that it would be easier to take points off for something aging poorly than to add them on. I don't know if that's worked necessarily in practice, but that's what we're still going with, at least for the terms of this season. So, because this category lives in the gray, we will turn to our grayest person on the show this evening, as well as our senior nuance correspondent, Dana.
All right. So, 1 full point up for racial diversity, making the guy who is ultimately going to destroy humanity a black man.
Okay. All right. I'll give you that.
Okay? I'm giving it a point up.
I understand.
It normally would have been 2 points, but I mean,
it's a roundabout way of just saying that, yet again, black people are going to destroy the world. But okay.
I know. I'm giving it because at least was something there, but I'm going, I can't. I mean, I got to pull back again because I would have said 2 if he would have just been a major character in the thing. But no, he's got to be the guy that's responsible for the death of humanity. So
and the first guy to die, basically.
Yeah. Anyway, so I got to go there. As far as the other classicness, yeah, okay, Linda Hamilton's badass. That's good. I'll give it a point up because, quite frankly, even in 1991, the amount of roles or the quality of the roles for women and doing stuff were not that strong. So, yeah, I'll give her a point up for that. Machines destroying humanity. Timeless. I'll give that a point. Yeah, I'm at a 9. Now, I will say one thing. The script itself is a little bit too cheesy for me, and that takes something away on that. So I'm going to give it a half point down. So I'm at an 8.5.
Okay, I was about to say I just basically agreed with you, save for I don't really give it any points for the whole Linda Hamilton thing. I have to stay consistent and just say no, but I do give it an extra point for the special effects for the point that you gave there, and I ended at a 9, so I guess we have an 8.5 and a 9.
I'm going to give it a 9 as well. I recognize that some of the effects don't look as good. We can kind of see the seams on some of the practical effects, like the monster effects with Arnold peeling off his arm and them pulling bullets out of him, things like that. As well as it's very 90s, right? And essentially we have blown so far past all of the dates that are ever mentioned, and it feels like ancient history. Everything else feels appropriate, though. To me, there's no huge glaring errors. And you're still wrong about Linda Hamilton. Amazing, amazing female role where she does not, that doesn't mean that she has to be a good mother, because you can't be all the good things. She's so good in this role. I mean, imagine if she was that badass and she was a good nurturer. Like, we're done. We're totally done. So
it's fine. I'm not criticizing her just for the mothering skills. I'm also criticizing it for the gross incompetence and overacting in the role, but fine.
I understand. You've made your point, but I'm saying, like Dana was saying, right? This is female roles at the time, and somehow James Cameron pulls off these roles for women, like, inexplicably. And Miles Dyson, honestly, we didn't talk about him at all, but that character is fantastic. Joe Martin's great, and him dying at the end holding the trigger, I think about, like, pretty frequently, right? I felt like that was the first time that I'd ever seen somebody die on screen that wasn't, like, getting exploded, that I can remember at that time. Anyway, so 9 for me.
I'll just round it up and make it a 9. I'll take my half point away, that deduction. Just make it 9 so it's easy.
Well, thank you, although I had already started to do a bunch of the math.
Sorry.
Anyway, we move to rewatchability. Please insert your own subjective test here. We normally start with our guest, especially given that she is the most effusive in her praise of this movie.
Well, I'm going to give it a 10 because I've seen it, I don't know, like 100 times at this point. This might be my Shawshank Redemption, where I might, like, pause on the way to the altar to, like, watch this if it's on TV. Like, I don't know. I love this movie. Every little sound and clink and whatever, I will watch it a million times. But I think you also have to be a fan of this movie to watch it as obsessively as I have. I think that if you enjoy action films, this is something that you could watch repeatedly, however often that is. But it needs to be your thing, right? So, Dana, you're not going to rewatch this film. It's not your thing, right? But if you're, I think, in the middle of the road, absolutely, this is rewatchable. And then if you think it's amazing like I do, you're going to watch it all the time. So, yeah, 10 for me. That was easy.
My subjective statement is if I had to rewatch it, I would. That's it. So therefore, it's a 4. I'm not going to go out of my way to watch it.
And because I try to take a more objective methodology in this, I do think the film is fun. I do think there are a lot of people that enjoy it. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but I think a vast majority of the population is still going to get entertainment and enjoyment out of this film. So I have it at a 7.5. So that's a 7.17 between the three of us. Meaning that for audience score on this one, we had an 8.6 for our new IMDb scores. Thanks, Google. And a 95% for Rotten Tomato users, giving us a 9.05. So, to repeat the categories, for Legacy, we had a 9.5. For Impact and Significance, we had a 10. Novelty, an 8.33. Classicness, a 9. Rewatchability, a 7.17. and audience score a 9.05, giving us a final total of 53.05, and currently placing it on our list at number 24 between The Sound of Music and Schindler's List.
What a sandwich.
Everything around it: Inside Out, The Godfather Part 2, Toy Story, The Sound of Music, Terminator 2, Schindler's List, Jurassic Park, The Apartment, The Matrix, Sunset Boulevard.
Fantastic. You got to say Sunset Boulevard 3 times, though. Sunset Boulevard, Sunset Boulevard, Sunset Boulevard. That summons Aisha Khan to come and hang out with us.
Well, she's welcome anytime. I have invited her on this program, and she never got back to me. But that being said, if you have any difficulties with our score, if you would like to give me shit about Linda Hamilton, if you'd like... I don't know, whatever. You can send all of your commentary to one of 3 places. Greatest All-Time Movie Podcast at gmail.com, on any of our socials at Gmote Podcast, or on the website RonnieDuncanStudios.com/Gmote Podcast. Let's move to remaining questions, for which I believe both of you actually have more than I do. But since I have never seen the sequels, and I really don't plan on seeing any of the sequels, does Judgment Day ever take place?
That wasn't supposed to.
In every iteration, more or less, Judgment Day does still happen, and they keep shifting how things are dealt with. So, for example, one of the more recent ones, well, the villain ends up being somebody that you really don't expect, because there's different ways that they've infiltrated, like, the humans and stuff like that. So they keep morphing the story. So yes, it still does, but it happens in different ways. The Skynet stuff, like becoming sentient or whatever, still always happens. There's some form of Judgment Day every single time. They just keep moving the goalposts.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Remaining questions for either of you?
Yeah, I want to know, how do we feel about this movie right now, given like the current controversial relationship that we all seem to have with AI, right? That we are actually on the cusp of something like Skynet actually existing and potentially taking things over. This was a theory when this movie came out, or when the original one came out, but the technology seemed so far into the future, right, that it was just like, okay, that sounds scary, but like couldn't be us. And now we're kind of right there. So
I don't think we're right there. I don't think we're really that close. I think this AI revolution that keeps being force-fed to us is somewhat of a crock. I would not see that the human race would be replaced by machines, but would rather morph into a mutual existence or mutual species of cybernetic organisms before it is directly replaced.
So rather than overlords, it would be symbiotic, and then we're absorbed into the collective?
At least until the apes rise up.
Oh, right, or the Borg arrive. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And then
Borg?
Yeah.
I thought it was the Blarg, but
that's a Star Trek reference. You're just
okay,
not cool enough.
That's correct. I was never a Trekkie. I was a Star Wars guy.
I was never a Trekkie either. You can like both Star Wars and Star Trek, because I like both.
And I know people that do,
both.
but I preferred one to the other. I never got into Trek. So
it's fine. It's fine. Anyway, yeah, you damn dirty apes. I'm looking forward to that future for sure. For sure.
Okay. T-1000. Okay. It freezes and breaks apart, but it reconfigures itself. Isn't there a chip running it? Didn't the chip get destroyed when it froze? How did the chip reconform? Because if that's the case, then why does T-800 have to go into the fat of steel? Because is that the only way to destroy the chip? And what happens when the steel cools? Is it going to allow the liquid for T1000 to recollect again since the chip in it doesn't get destroyed? So why is it? So fire destroys, but the freezing and shattering doesn't? I don't get it. It's inconsistent to me. So are you mixing it up? So now maybe it's because it's
Diluted?
joining with melted steel? I don't know. It just seems to me like a very big plot hole that never was resolved when I saw it the first time. I watched it again and I got the same thought.
No, it was the same thought that I had this last time watching through it again. I don't think that they actually responsibly answer the question of why that somehow destroys, but the other doesn't, and how the chip theoretically is liquid metal as well. I don't know. You would also think that if you had the right shot, you would hit the chip theoretically, depending on placement, and they shoot giant holes in the T1000 so many times. But I don't know. There's a little bit of it where you just have to kind of excuse it, because otherwise it ruins the movie.
I'm just thinking of all the shots in the film where it's like there's a big hole in the middle of his stomach, and at the end when he's all splayed out, and when he turns into his fingers into the different pokey things, like with
or the hooks.
But like specifically like killing the foster parents when she's on the phone, and you don't see it, and then it pulls away, and then you see that she's like fully stabbed the dad, and then the way he kills the guy who walks over him in the hospital. Yeah, it's ugh. Blah, blah. It's good. I like it.
Alrighty then. Hearing no other remaining questions, I want to thank our guest for being back with us for her 9th time. I will let you know that you are expected to be back with us later this season in September for not a 70s film, not a 30s film, not a 90s film, but a 50s film, A Streetcar Named Desire. But please remind the people again what you're working on and where they can find you.
Okay, yeah. So Sara Shea from Shea Cinema, the podcast I do with my own father. We are watching and reviewing every single film nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture in chronological order. We do a lot of historical research, all of that type of stuff. I have episodes that I need to edit. Those will be coming out soon. We have over 50 episodes already that you can listen to. I'm also on First Watch Rewatch with Thomas. We put that out weekly, I think, on Sundays, right? Where we are watching and reviewing the first season of The Good Wife this season. Last season it was West Wing. And then you can find me on Instagram at Shea Cinema. I'm basically never on Twitter. You can find me on Threads. And that's it for social media, because I'm not good at the social media because I'm an old, and that's just the way it is. Yes.
That is true. I will not debate that in any way, shape, or form. But you can refer to this season of First Watch Rewatch as mustacheless or facial hairless Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of excited to see him, but then you're also like, oh, no, I don't like it.
Well, thank you again. And please, at some point, extend our invitation over to William. I think Dad would very much enjoy having him on for an episode.
Sure, and he actually told me to tell you today that he sends his regards to both of you.
We appreciate that.
We could maybe while I'm down in California, we can figure something out.
Good deal. Dad, remaining thoughts for the week, or final thoughts for the week?
No, I really don't have anything. Looking forward to the what will be a upcoming long weekend for my office, and just trying to keep my self chugging along.
I certainly understand what you mean. It has been a busy couple of months at Duncan Disability, and with everything else going on, somehow I have to turn in an outline for a 20-page paper that I have yet to start that is due tomorrow. So the page keeps turning, as always. Unfortunately, of the 3 movies that came out this month, I have yet to see any of them that I originally wanted to see, and one of which has gotten such bad reviews and has been so vilely eviscerated on social media and by critics and the like that I probably will wait now till it goes on streaming or whatever to see it.
Mandalorian?
No. Supergirl. I think Variety referred to it as the worst script ever written for a superhero movie.
Well,
doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence, unfortunately.
I'm not a big horror guy, but I almost went and saw Obsession last weekend. And what's the other one? The Back Rooms?
Oh, Back Rooms I saw. I really liked it. I liked it a lot.
Well, I'm intrigued because, again, this last, or not the current, or the most recent, but back when the Hollywood Reporter had a nice piece about how the future of Hollywood is probably YouTube.
What do you mean probably? It is. The 2 biggest competing streaming services are YouTube and Netflix. That's where everything's going.
Anyway, Backrooms, I really liked it, and it gave me a lot to think about, and it was a little bit scary, but mostly it's psychological, right? So it's not necessarily super gory, but there are some gross things, but it was absolutely fascinating to me, especially because I didn't know any of the stuff surrounding it. My daughter really wanted to see it and begged me to take her, and I was like, all right, we'll go. And I was just like, what just happened? So might be worth checking it out.
Okay.
My first girlfriend was psychological, and she was scary.
Awesome. When does The Odyssey come out? I'm looking forward to seeing that with
July
Dad.
17th.
Yeah. So that's what I'm most looking forward to in the next
We have
few
tickets
weeks.
for the 19th.
Good job. We do not have tickets yet, but that's
In IMAX, mind you.
perfect. I don't know how far I would have to drive to see it in IMAX once I'm in Sonoma. Probably have to go to San Francisco. Ugh.
You have
They
a
might
major
have one in
IMAX
Oakland.
theater. It's the the Dome or whatever in Las Vegas.
The Sphere.
Right, but I'm going.
Sphere.
But I'm going to be going to California.
California.
I'm going to be with my parents.
That's why she said Sonoma.
Right. We have several IMAX theaters here. I'm not too concerned about that, but yeah, I'm like, I would have to travel, I think, fairly far to see it.
But also, I would assume that the Sphere is basically sold out of all of its IMAX tickets for the Odyssey already.
Yeah. This feels similar to when The Phantom Menace came out with the how far ahead tickets are being sold. Back then you couldn't do online sales, but people were like waiting in line and all of that type of stuff. It has that same sort of, it feels like a cultural touchstone. That doesn't necessarily mean the movie's going to be any good, right? So
Unless he pulls some Tenet bullshit, which I can't imagine with the Odyssey based on the source material, you just can't do. It's going to be decent.
yeah.
Not to mention Ludwig Göransson going with like old ass ancient instruments and pulling that out of his bag so that he wins his 3rd Oscar, or is it 4th Oscar? I can't even keep track anymore.
The whole thing, I've been trying to not look at any press for it because I know the story, so I'm just gonna go in and try to just enjoy it for what it is.
Matt Damon.
Yes, Matt Damon. Very excited about Matt Damon. That is 100% true.
I think he is now officially. It's been something I've been leaning towards, but Matt Damon is my favorite actor now.
Oh,
I'll let that go. He moved into pole position.
Wow, that's respectable. I like that. I like it.
But that looks like a good spot to stop for the week. Thank you for listening. I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Next week, for our 319th episode, we revisit Aliens from 1986, celebrating its 40th anniversary. Written and directed by James Cameron, cinematography by Adrian Biddle, music by James Homer, editing by Ray Lovejoy, starring Sigourney Weaver, Paul Reiser, and Michael Biehn. You won't want to miss that one, so watch ahead of the show by searching the Real Good app to find where it's streaming for you. That's REELGOOD. Please like, follow, rate, and review, or whatever on whichever platform you have so that more can join in our fun. You can also email the show at ronnieduncanstudios.com or greatestalltimemoviepodcast@gmail.com, or find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky, or TikTok at the handle @GModePodcast. The Greatest Movie of All Time is a production of Ronnie Duncan Studios. Our show is mixed, edited, and written by Thomas Duncan. Our music is thanks to Purple Planet Music. Our technical provider is Riverside FM. Our distributor is Captivate FM.